Hey, as we get back into society, let's remember, people will punch you in the fucking mouth.
Good to see you, Drew. That's a beautiful name you've got.
Best name in the business.
That's
baby.
right. It for sure is. You got better hair, though.
I try. Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, hopefully it doesn't end up, like that.
What?
But
like what? Hope it doesn't end up like
hopefully
what?
it doesn't end up.
Hope it doesn't end up like
what? You see that? I dig the underhook already, bro.
Yeah, that was good. That's good. He's ready. You see that hook caught? That was very nice. Very nice.
All right.
Good job, Torres Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. Right on. So take us through a little bit of your transition from fighting back in the day. I say back in the day, it wasn't that long ago that you and I were both amateurs, to a head coaching position.
Well, let me do two things. First of all, I was going to do I was going to set my phone to go off and pretend it was a phone call from Donald Trump. And then I was like, well, I'm going to get too far into this answer, and then it's going to interrupt, and then we're going to waste all the time. So I just shut the thing off, and then I'll actually answer it for you since we already have a gimmick. How's that sound?
Sounds perfect, yeah.
I was like, we need a little entertainment on here. We got to have a little something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so I'll repeat the question.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, how did you get into this head coaching role?
So that's interesting. So, accidentally.
Oh.
So I got into this. I've always been competitive, and I've always been in athletics since I was a kid. I played soccer my whole life and up through college. Ran some track, did things like that. Fast forward, I get into Sonic drive-ins, the restaurants. And I start to work my way up. I buy into one, I buy into three, and so I'm really busy, and I've got a pretty good career for a young man, but I'm looking for something more, so I want to compete. There's the UFC, I think, what could be better, right? So I start off looking for a place to train, and there's nothing around. So the real reason ACS started is I wanted a place close by so that when I got off of work, I'd have something without driving an hour each way during rush hour traffic in Houston to try to get to it. So I hired a coach. I hired a jiu-jitsu coach, wrestling coach, a boxing coach, and immediately found out that they're completely unreliable. There's a reason they're deadbeats and whatever else, right? So I've got coaches not showing up. Oh, I can't come in today. I don't feel like it, or just no call, no show. And I realized, such is life. So I started filling in classes, sort of by accident. And then I realized I had this going concern, and I absolutely loved it. I loved martial arts. I loved the way it was changing me for the better. I loved the challenges, the adversity on the mats, and I made a decision one day. I said, this is all I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I don't care if I live under a bridge. I'm done. I sold out of my shares in the Sonic, and I've been doing this ever since. And, when I first started it, I wanted to compete and coach. And I realized, you can only have one priority. I'm not saying you can't be both a good coach and a good competitor, but I already had a number of injuries, back injury from first surgery when I was 13. So I was not a whole athlete at that point in life. So, coaching was it. They say those that can't do coach. So here I am.
Fulfilling that head coaching role. Describe what it's like being on the other side, watching your fighters go through the shit, per se. The hardships of, the people that don't know, MMA is a very tough and lonely sport. So being a head coach, you truly deeply care for the guys in the cage, and you don't want to see them get hurt or lose for that matter. So take us through your thoughts on watching the guys go through the camps and then some of the hardships dealing with MMA.
MMA doesn't have to be that hard. Here's the trick. MMA is really hard because people, mostly men, get their priorities out of order. So what they do is they end up placing a hobby, which is anything that isn't your career or your family, above in their priority list or their priority hierarchy above their career. That's where the hardships come from. MMA isn't that hard. Yes, it's tough. Yes, there's adversity. But most of these people that you see, that you hear them talking about all these things, they say, the fight got canceled. I've got no money for Christmas presents. That's just foolish. Everybody at this gym has a career alongside it. That's one of the policies that I made. I don't want broken men and women behind me. I want this should be about building whole people. and I want it to make them better. That's really important to me. And that comes before having a UFC champ or anything else. If the cost of having a UFC champ is that I need to leave a wake of broken young men and women and behind it, I'm not in. That's it. The human comes before the athlete. To address your point, yes, it's tough. Cutting weight is tough. All those things are tough. Life is tough. I think it's just as tough to be a good person on bad days. And I think that's what this is about. It's about figuring out who you are in your lowest form and your worst form, and practicing dealing with that, so that when the shit hits the fan out in the real world, you're the person that keeps it together instead of falling apart. So, not exact answer, but it's how I see it. I tell the young men that come in and they say, "This is what I want to do." I tell them that you have to you got to go to EMT school, go to fire school, get in the police academy, go to college. You have to do something else. Because the chances that you're going to make it far enough to make money that replaces a career is almost none. Might as well play the lottery and call it a career. Like, oh, I'm all in on this. It's fucking stupid. The percentages aren't there. Look at the percentages. If you've got a less than 1% chance of making enough money to replace your health care, your 401k, your retirement, and take care of you in your old age, it's way less than 1 out of 100 people that fight at the professional level. Forget amateurs. So you're going to base this on a 1% chance? That's terrible. Right? Like, that's not what you do with this.
No.
Right? Like, you're going to figure out what's the highest percentage path of success with this. Same thing with your career, right? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of broken people because you see these guys that went all in on fighting, and then you see them late, and they may have even made it to the UFC, and they may have been on pay-per-views, and you may know their name and see them. What you don't see is the CTE on the backside. You don't see them alone in an apartment with their wife having left them, and them broken as men, and that's not worth it. Whole humans is the most important thing.
All right. It's apparent that you're a genuine man on the mats, on and off the mats. Do you think you being this genuine, not necessarily like some coaches are very hard-nosed, running into the dirt. You can be that at times, of course. I think there's a time and a place for that. Mm-hmm. But do you think that has any effect on people's performance?
I think that, yes, I think it can. Getting an athlete to perform is an interesting conundrum because you have to know the person, the human inside. You have to know a little bit about their psychology. You have to know a little bit about their background. You have to know about what makes them tick. Every athlete that gets in the cage, or every human that does anything, marriage, career, anything, they're all going to have different motivating factors and different processes they go through mentally to get to it. I think that for my fighters, knowing that I think that if they get to know me well enough that they believe that I really care about how they're going to do as young men and women, really care, that is going to keep me up at night if it's not working for them, and that I'll be okay with whatever comes down the pipe as long as they're whole. If they really believe that, then I think it makes it easier to trust me. And MMA is all about trust, because when you're in the cage, your self-preservation instincts are screaming for you to do one thing. They're screaming for you. They're like, look, you got to get up, you got to or you got to stop, or you got to cover up, or all these things are all the wrong instincts, almost always. Like, right. People to varying degrees, but whenever you get an athlete, their body, their mind is going to be screaming at them to do one thing, and that's going to come from our survival instincts, right? So if you're on the cage and a guy takes you down and you get back up, you're a little more tired, and then he takes you down again, but you get back up. But as soon as you get back up, he takes you down again. Your brain goes through a process where it does an automatic evaluation. It says, I was at my freshest and this didn't work, and now I'm more fatigued and I haven't improved the position at all. That by definition is a waste of energy and of time. So all the time you'll see these fighters stop fighting in certain positions because their brain is screaming at them, this isn't working. And you got to have trust in your coach, because what the coach sees is that the other guy is breathing even harder than you. And what the coach sees is that this guy quits after 4 or 5 attempts because he studied the film and knows that he's thinking the same thing you are. I took this guy down, but he got back up. I took this guy down, but he got back up. I can't stop him from getting up no matter how many times I take him down, he gets back up. It didn't work when I was fresh. I'm more tired now. I can't win the position. I can't win the fight. So it's almost like a race to see whose mind will shit the bed first. Because whoever's does loses the fight. And this happens at the highest level in the UFC. You'll see somebody quit fighting, but only incrementally. They'll stop trying to win the exchange, and then they'll stop trying to win the round, and then they'll stop trying to win the fight. And then they may even just try to survive and not get finished. Or they may even go as far as, I only want to get finished in a way that I'm not hurt afterwards. Like, there's levels of quit that happen even at the highest level, because our instincts are telling us, like, save yourself, save yourself. So to your point, if they trust me, they have a much higher percentage chance of being able to listen to me over their own voice in their head that's screaming at them.
Drew, I appreciate your time coming on today. Is there anything else that you want to say for the future generation of fighters that are coming into your gym for the first time?
Yeah, when they come into the gym, you have to have a plan for your life, even if it's not a perfect plan. Because by the time they come in here, they're young adults or adults. I'm not talking about the kids program. If you're 16, 17, 18, you're 24 months away from being an adult if you're 16 years old, right?
Right.
You have to have something in your life that you're going towards, not something you're waiting on. An MMA career is not a career until you've made it. It's a hobby until it pays your bills, your health insurance, your retirement plan, and makes enough money to carry you all the way through. It's not a career, it is a hobby. And a hobby must be treated as such. Career is here. Family, God, career, family, country, all those things, and everybody has slightly different orders for those. They gotta come first. Otherwise, you end up with broken men and women. Broken men and women who are 35 to 45 years old, and they say, I always saw these, read these stories and saw these movies, and it was always about the, give it your all. It was always about this fairy tale. And the truth is, the percentage isn't there. 1 out of 100 fighters at a professional level does not make enough money to replace their career. Less than 1 out of 100, right? It's a less than 1% chance. If you are banking your future on something that is a less than 1% chance, you're probably going to be a broken person in the future, and you're going to be 2 decades further down the road than you would have been. And you don't need to train 12 hours a day. Plenty of guys have made it to the top and even won championships in the UFC while holding down a day job. Go get a day job, get a career, become an EMT, become a firefighter, get in the police academy, get an associate's degree, get a master's, do something with your life, and keep training this because you freaking love it. And if you love it enough, and you listen enough, and you train hard enough, yeah, you might have the ability to make it, but you'll know. Don't sell out for it when you're a no-fight amateur as a 3-stripe white belt and be like, this is my future. It's not your future. Love it and keep it in the appropriate place until it's able to replace it. Then quit your day job and move on. That's what I would tell them. Because honestly, Drew, I think that is the biggest. We have all the highlights of MMA, right? We've seen all the guys that made it, and the UFC does a great job of telling us the story. They tell you, this guy quit his day job so that he could take this fight. He barely had enough money to make it here. They're telling a story that entertains the audience. They're not telling a story that's best for that individual. And they talk about that. They say he came in here and he made his check. And you know what he brought home from that check? Less than 50%. After taxes, managers and coaches, and ancillary fees just to make sure that you cover your coaches' butts while they're out there cornering you, he's taking home less than 50%. If he made 15 grand, he's taking home 7 grand, 6 grand, something like that, right? And you're fighting how many times? 2-3 times a year? Do the math, right? So, yeah, you got to keep your priorities in order. You got to do something because you love it, and you'll never regret it. These guys that keep their careers intact, they never regret it. And they usually end up being more successful anyway, because they have their shit together, not falling apart emotionally because they're 28 years old and can't pay their bills, and girls are dumping them because they're deadbeats and they're behind on child support and God knows what else. Cars broke down, can't afford to fix it. That sucks. I don't want to see my people in that situation. I want to see my people flush and happy and doing something they love and having enough money in their pocket they can even pay my coaches for private lessons. Everybody on the up and up. That's what I want to see.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show for a little bit for this interview. We appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate you. Good to see you, Drew.
Good to see you too, man.
I want you to find that calm in your heart. I want you to make peace with death. I want you to make peace with victory. I want you to be at peace with everything. Say, and start to think of yourself as a motherfucker.
This what the city been wanting. I know y'all patiently waiting. I do this shit in my sleep, so I had to get back to basics. Got the city tuned in, cause they know I'm going for greatness. They know I'm holding the crown, and they know I'm coming to take it.